back-end stuff that you guys can't access. So that brings up a good point that I'll see if we can address. I just made some changes to that agent in particular. If after this you're going to try and see if it's better now.
Okay.
Okay. That does raise one thing. I see we can fix that. We'll fix it for all new agents and also fix it for any existing agents. So if anyone's having that issue, let me just inform one of the engineers about that, and then we can work on the form. So yeah, hopefully that's resolved now. We can move on to the next thing.
These accounts here were Chris Johnson's accounts that he'd like to get on Vonage. I know everybody's waiting on that right now, but he created all new Twilio accounts, and since he's doing a ton of volume, he wanted to know if you could go ahead and get these synced real quick. He's trying to get it back up on him.
Yeah. Let me sync those in. All right. All files will be good in about 15 seconds, so it should be that
Okay. And did you see in Slack where if we add metadata into square brackets, it breaks? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Curly brackets inside a square. It's totally just breaking the square brackets. It won't allow me to do it. But actually, it's doing it, so I'm putting in custom metadata, like for example, metadata.social. So we're trying to verify the last four of a client's social before we can move on, and I'm telling it that it has to match. So when I put metadata.social in the square bracket and then click out of it, it instantly transfers the metadata back to project name. It won't let me save it with. Only that happens when it's inside of the square brackets.
Okay.
Like I feel like if you test it right now, see that happen.
Let me try that. I'll actually say I want to be able to run around this node and just type in. Okay, you go into a node and you type in like, hey, oh, I remember these. I actually see this last night, I think. So you wrote like, if their phone number is exactly what, like curly brace, phone number, and the brackets. Okay. So when I did it, it looks like it cut off the metadata. Are you seeing the same thing where it's not showing even like the opening curly brace or characters are getting removed?
It showed the curly braces, but it like as soon as I did in square bracket, it changed the metadata to prospect first name. Like it knew that was the default, and it wasn't wanting me to do any sort of custom metadata, and it instantly just switch it back.
There. Okay.
Is that not what it's doing for you?
No, it's just that. Well, it seems really weird. It's like breaking metadata. Like one thing you can do though.
Well,
I think when
we'll kind of dive in.
Let's say into that blob, hit if you're on Mac Command Z, if you're on Windows Control Z, and on that, and then I'm just gonna try it right now. Let's see if it works. It keeps the text. Oh, I see it. It got rid of this. It got rid of the ending square bracket.
The only thing I've seen that works for me right now is using / instead of brackets.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And it's working, but you guys square brackets to use, so I figured I'd at least let you know like this is totally broken and not working.
Yeah, that's a really that feature should not make product worse. It should make it better. I actually did though get it somehow. How did I do this? I don't know. Did I get this? Save. Okay, I just got to persist. No, it still breaks. I can't tell. It might not be rigging it. What I'm doing is I'm closing the node out, or rather I'm deleting, like I'm not putting the last bracket, so just type the whole thing out, but without the closing bracket, so it doesn't get put into a blue blob. And then close that node, go back into it, like close it out, and then reopen the node. Add a right bracket, it's going to do the blue blob again, but hit Command Z again, or Control Z, and then do a square bracket, and it won't put into a blue blob. But then, like it will when you actually, I don't know. I'm just trying to give you ways to get around it temporarily. But I can also just go into if it's like on a client's account, it's really critical works on. I can also just go into the source code for you and change whatever's in that node. But yeah, thanks for raising that.
Well, the forward slashes are working for me, but yeah, it's just the square brackets are broken, and that's what everybody else is going to try to use. Most people probably won't even try something else. So
yeah, that's super. So
and then the only last thing is just wanted to bring your attention. You probably already know about it, but I've just been having a lot of problems with getting added to the DNC list with testing. It happened to me 3 times in a row last night testing, and luckily your other developer was able to remove those quickly. But it's just weird that that's happening, and none of my tests were related at all to take me off your list. Not even close.
Had you modified the outcomes on that agent and like made a bunch of new ones?
No,
it was all. It was the default.
it was the default. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
All right. The only outcomes I ever do modify, and I have never had problems with them, is I add in not interested, wrong number, or hangups. That's it. Okay. And they've always worked good for me. But this one in particular didn't even have those. So. And then oddly enough, client emailed me and say that he got added to the DNC list like shortly after that as well, and we got him removed. So I don't know. I don't think it's working with me.
On those calls, you're not saying anything like, "No, I'm not interested. No, thank you." Like nothing negative at all.
I was doing a lot of testing trying to verify the last 4 social in this prompt that I was just telling you about. I was not saying anything about not interested. I was actually just giving them the wrong last 4 socials to see if it would verify me correctly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing that I can think of that was even remotely close to take me off the list.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I know that one down. I'll see if I can recreate it. I would probably try going into role plays. Role plays can still have outcomes, but they won't actually DNC you if it gets DNC'd. So I would try going into role play and changing that script up a little bit and seeing if that gets like, I don't know how, like maybe the agents are reading the transcript and being like, oh, this is an invalid social security number. They shouldn't be called again, or like something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing actually. But I like, how do you prevent that?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. That would definitely have to be something you go into like another, or you have to go into role plays to test it so you don't accidentally block yourself over and over and just play with the script. I would, if that phrase, or not phrase, that part of your script is causing that outcome over and over, I'd probably make a new outcome to try to capture whatever that outcome is there. So if you're saying the wrong information and it's like, sorry, you're disqualified, I'm going to end the call, I would make an outcome for whatever the outcome that's happening on those calls truly is.
And that's probably a great point, because it's the default outcomes only gives you deployment follow-up and DNC. If I add another outcome that reflected that answer, I bet that would solve the problem.
Yeah, I think that would help. I think definitely it has to pick one of the 3. It'll pick basically whatever it's closest to. So even if they're completely different, like it's just going to determine it itself.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Okay. Putting it in the chat. I forgot one for Chris Johnson, but there it is. And then that's all I had.
Oh, this is one to be synced?
Yeah.
By the way, the Nigeria account, Twilio rejected the credentials in that account. So that one was not successful since.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Yeah, he just has either the credentials are wrong or sometimes usually the credentials are wrong. Sometimes it'll mean the account suspended or like frozen for a business profile, but it doesn't bring up sub accounts, I imagine. So the master account would have to be the same for all of them, which it's not. So okay, sounds good. I just think that one too, so it should be good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too, man. Have a great one. Eric, go for it. Let's go.
Hey, Tyler. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
My first question is what's the purpose of square bracket, curly bracket? What's it supposed to do?
Sure. So square bracket is basically giving instructions to the agent. It's everything is just parsed in regular text by the agent except for curly braces. Curly braces are something that the agent doesn't see. Yeah. Basically a tool we use to let you drop variables script.
Sure. I thought that in square brackets around curly brackets using both one command. Did I misunderstand?
Yeah, that's what Gabe was just trying to do, which he found is sort of a glitch with our editor.
What would the combination be of combining a prompt with a dynamic variable?
So he was trying to write some prompting to give the agent very specific instructions. In this case, it was like if the
instruction included variables.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay. Okay, but it doesn't work that great, but he said / Okay, I got a bunch of questions, so I'll try to move pretty quick here. How do I remove a number from my block? I've got one in there. I think there were 2 default numbers that were included on my account. One is an 855 and one is a Florida number that's spammy. And I don't want the spammy one. It's going to kill my campaign.
What you do is you go into your Twilio account and release the phone numbers you don't want.
Yeah.
Just only have active numbers you do want. And then once you do that, just ping me in Slack and I will get it synced for you. If you have the email handy, if you've already done that, I could sync it right now.
No, not yet. I couldn't. I didn't spend a lot of time, but I didn't figure it out. Am I correct that I got those 2 numbers as defaults? I would pick the Florida number. So did they just give me 2? And it's almost always spam marked, and I don't want it.
Sure. When we do your first call on your account, if there isn't a phone number, we just buy a random one. So that's why they showed up.
Okay, got it. Okay. Next question is, how do I test my dynamic variables? Do I have to load a mock campaign of 5-10 to see if it's announcing the dynamic variables correctly? Because I don't think it can do it during the regular training call. It can't pick up variables.
Role play it can't. Yeah, role play it can't. But if you do API calls, it can, which are very easy to trigger. Well, they're very easy if you know what you're doing. If you go to the documentation site, so if you head over to docs.air.ai, and you go to our guides page, there's a guide on placing API calls, and you can fire off API calls if you prefer. But if you want to test it one to one exactly the same as it will work with like real contacts, then what I would do is there's another guide on that guides page called importing contacts. So again, you're on the docs site, then you go to the guides tab, and there's a tutorial called importing contacts. You just follow that along. That shows exactly how to import them, and I would just follow. If you haven't followed, I think I linked this. You've probably seen it.
I know how to import, but I'm asking, like, in order to do a test campaign, I have to put a bunch of mock numbers and mock data.
You can do just one number. You don't have to do like 10 numbers. You can just test it to yourself only. And as long as it works to yourself,
right?
Yeah, as long as it works to yourself, then all those other rows in that contact are going to work too, as long as they have the data populated in those columns.
Am I correct in saying that it doesn't call people twice in the same day? If it goes on campaign and it reaches me, it doesn't call me again?
No. If it does not reach you, it can call you up to 4 times per day until you answer, and there's a down between each call.
Yeah.
So if it goes to call you and you don't answer, it won't call you again for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And when that 3 hours is up, if it's still within the dialing window for your area code, it will try calling you again.
Sure.
And it'll do that every day until your contact is either answered or you just don't have the campaign turned on.
Yeah. And if it reaches me, then it won't contact me again during this campaign.
Yeah, exactly. If it does reach you, you just want to delete that contact and re-import it. and run a new campaign.
And when I'm adding contacts, these test contacts, is it unique to the name or the email address or the phone number? What does it regard as the source of unique person?
So the first level of uniqueness is the contact list itself, and then inside the list, it's unique to phone number only. So that means if you tried to import a contact, like if you tried to re-import your phone number into a list where your phone number already exists, it won't import. But if you try to import it into a new list, it will import. You can have yourself in 2 or 3 different lists at the same time.
Got it. Very helpful. Is there any in-house resource that can help me with APIs? Like how do I don't have API experience, and so it's a bit of a learning curve for me. Is there any support?
Yeah, the guides section on our site, there's I'm filming more like every week, 3 or 4 a week right now. But in that guide section, there's already a lot of tutorials on using the API. It really depends on what you're trying to do. We have multiple API routes, but there's already
is there human support I can get or buy? So it's the learn versus buy here. I'm leaning towards buy if I can.
There's definitely people in the community, like Gabe, who was talking earlier, and a couple other people who are like very friendly and have provided a lot of help you can reach out to.
Okay, thanks.
I remember your contact info, Gabe. If you want to drop it in the chat, I'll send it over to them.
Thank you.
If you're interested.
Do my agents have unique knowledge, or do they have a collective knowledge of their experience within my account?
They have unique knowledge.
They do. So
they have knowledge to only what's in the script.
The script and the knowledge. They know the script and the knowledge base, and the rest they're learning and remembering independently, right?
No, there's no like call memory. It's like they were trained with like the base information that trained the model, and then they don't really grow beyond that. Like they're just trained up a ton of information, and then every call they execute with the same exact model, and they just execute specifically with your script though, and with the context of whatever's in your script and what's ever said on the call. So if you have a call with it like, hey, no, don't say that. Next call, say this. It's not going to adhere to that. It's just going to continue to do that. You would actually improve it just by making changes to the script, which is a lot easier to do than trying to train a model.
My agents seem to have different personalities. They're acting differently. Am I imagining that?
I mean, these agents, even the same agent itself, isn't 100% deterministic every single call. It's fairly simple, but there can be some calls where it acts a tiny bit different at different parts. Not like every node. Like it's generally going to be the same behavior. But based on what the person has said, based on like the existing conversation that's already had, any differences in the script yet will make the AI definitely own persona. So call to call it could be different, just depending on how the person's reacting.
Okay. Do the agents have access to the internet?
They have access to knowledge they were trained on from the internet, but they cannot go and like pull out random information. You can't tell it to like go Google something or look up which team made it to the Super Bowl this year, unless it was trained on that information when it was originally trained. Like if you're asking information from the past, there's a good chance it'll know what specific. Like if you could just see it, the first result on Google, it'll probably have been trained on that. But really, like detailed information or new information, it won't have access.
Not real time. Interesting. So they know they can tell jokes. So somebody taught them some jokes.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely can.
Good clean dad jokes. There's a stutter repeat. Like the script is going pretty good, but at the end he sort of like he's not saying things smoothly. He's not just finishing the script at the end of one of my later notes. Is there a way to fix a stutter? Should I rewrite the line? Just give it a new box, and would that refresh it? It's struggling.
Stuttering on the same point every script.
Yeah, I hear it like double cracking on a particular word nearing the exit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would change the script up because it's doing that. It's not doing on every single call. It's for whatever the audio AI is having. It's having a stutter with that particular phrase. So just tweak the script up a little bit to change that.
Okay. All right. There was a very long pause when he was saying, "Is this Eric?" Confirming who it is, that they're talking to the right person. He was having trouble getting started in the last few days, but better today. Is there a known issue on first dialogue after this is Miles from, from Reclaim the Money?
Yeah, that's not that it's a known issue, but that's generally where there's going to be the most amount of latency in the script, like ever.
Right.
There's some big improvements we have made in the last, I don't know if it's like days or weeks. I don't know what day the feature got shipped, but there has been some pretty substantial. If the OM's ever too laggy, you'll swap over to another, stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely gotten it. So
better than last week. Is there any hacks, any prompts anybody's come up with to accelerate that at all? Any way to make it move?
The only sort of like exploit, I'm actually calling it exploit, but the only thing you can do to minimize that as much as humanly possible is to make the first sentence or two sentences of like one word, make it as short as possible. Because we generate the audio that we're going to play in sentence chunks. So if the first sentence of your note is 50 words, and we have to generate the sound for all those 50 words before we play any of them.
Okay, yeah, the one word I remember hack. Maybe I'll try that. Thank you. That's it for my questions.
Awesome. Good question, Dan. Hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Ahmed, go for it. How's it going?
How's it going, Tyler? How was your
Good. Cheers.
Very good to hear. Pretty good. Can you also unmute Patrick Harris? He might be able to join us in a couple of minutes.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
Hey,
we have a couple of different problems here today. Well, first of all, like we've been trying to reach out to you guys on Slack to get some help. We got like 1/3 for answers for what we asked for, and we even tried sending you guys an email on support.ai. But we get the same response, like neither cal.com or GHL integration is working to begin with. For some reason, it's completely broken. Like cal.com.
Gotcha. So I remember you guys were talking about swapping over to GHL last time we talked. Did you get past the point where you're able to have it book the appointment on the test integration feature?
Like cal.com, I was able to get the test calendar integration to book an appointment. But then in the script itself, with the agent itself, we're not able to book any appointments. But for GHL, it completely failed. Like I have the screen pulled up in front of me here. It says, failed to book appointment. Please verify integration settings and try again. And the videos you guys have done for this integration is outdated. Like GHL from the inside out is completely different right now. So it took me a bit to find the API key and the calendar ID.
Gotcha. Did you guys, there's two things you have to make sure you did first. Did you guys want, or I guess what type of calendar did you make? Was it a standard or a round robin?
I tried almost everyone. Like there is no calendar called standard. There was a service, simple, classic, or classic, collective, and round robin. I tried all of them. They all fail at the same point.
So standard or round robin are definitely one of the two you want to go with. And then did you add the calendar to a calendar group?
Yes, I created a calendar group and added it to.
Okay, and you're able to see times come over when you try to get the times?
Yeah, the calendar completely works. Like when I try to open it and take a preview of it, it works. I can set up appointments manually through GHL.
Could you share your screen and or do you have it open? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think it's working.
Okay. Okay, can you head over? Oh, let's see. Wait, calendar name, group, air. Cool. Can you head over to air now? Okay, so you've got your GHL API key in here. Now, calendar integration. Okay, let's see that. Failed to book the appointment, please verify. Interesting. That implies to me there might be an issue. Okay, so that's weird. That issue only ever spawns when you have either a calendar that's not in a calendar group or you're on one or your calendar types. Let me try with that.
I can create a new one just to test it, just to make sure. Like there is a round robin, and you said a standard one,
Yeah, standard around what is it, simple or round robin?
simple.
Okay, now let me see if I see the error. It's not show up my side. Could you show me what calendar ID was?
The calendar API key.
No, the ID right behind you there. Right here. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let me try. Oh, like.
While he's looking this up, I just had a quick question. Do you know any voice cloning apps are good?
I personally do not or dabble in any of our voice infrastructure though. So there's definitely some on Slack other than the founders that can tell you. I don't have any experience with that stuff though at the moment.
I'm just curious. So totally unrelated, obviously.
That's a cool question. I know there's definitely providers out there that like give them enough audio samples and they clone a voice for you and make it a totally clone voice, which is pretty crazy.
I want to know about voice licensing also, because for me, it would be helpful to be able to license different voices.
That makes sense. Okay. Nope, I still didn't do anything. That's pretty well. Sorry for the delay, everyone. But I do this for everyone, so I don't have any super technical questions. No. Okay, cool. All right, I got one of your slots. Now let me try and book into this. See what error GHL gives us. All right, GHL. I think is booked. Can you check your calendar and tell me if appointment just showed up for David's week? This would be. Actually, don't know what day this is. There's a new appointment on there for someone. What is the name of this? Test. It's like testing or something like that. Testing. Ignore this. If you go to, yeah, I think you go back to.
Calendar.
Oh, appointments in the top. There you go. Okay, yeah, that came through. Interesting, and it's not working. Well, I think your integration is set up correctly. Maybe the test feature is broken. I can't go much further into it on the call, but I could definitely take a look at the channel. So I would actually, after this, I would just try replacing a call to that agent and see if it works, because I just pulled your information straight out of our system that it worked properly. So
I see everything. So
yeah,
just
leave it
test
work.
it.
Leave it how it's set right now. Yeah, and just save it. I think you already saved it. Just go in.
So
and
should-
set it.
We need this for a client who's like trying to get us to move forward right now. Is there a way to get like on a call with someone on the tech team and navigate through this if we don't have it installed by Monday morning?
There's not, but I mean, I'll do the best I can. Hopefully, we can just get it solved today. You don't have to wait. Unfortunately, I'm the only engineer who has any resources on this side at the moment. We do have a couple people in your channel, or a lot of people on your channel who are great at going in and like some scripts. But as far as people checking the code like this, it's only the moment. But I'll see what we can do today. I'm hoping it's actually just fixed right now. When you guys do a test call, it's good to go. So either way, I'll get back to you in your channel. We'll figure it out.
Ahmed, I know you got a lot more to do. I'm gonna hop off of here and make the call, and I'll text you what works.
All right, not a problem.
Cool. All right, bye.
See you.
So it seems, as you mentioned, like the test feature or the test button itself, it's broken since that one came through. So I'll have to test it with the agent itself. All right, not a problem. And one more thing, like just but the onboarding of a new client is a bit too confusing, the pricing, the contract, the steps. And I've been going through like the document and the help centers for air all day. But you know, they're like, would there be a way to get somebody to help us with a step by step how to get it done? What's the best practice? How can we set up like a monthly subscription based kind of model?
Yeah, probably Amber would be the best person to answer that in Slack, or it's also a guy named Landon in there. I don't know how much of the stuff he does. He's kind of involved in it. But they made like a whole training series a while back. I don't know if you've seen all of it already in AirU, where they go through like how to build your first offer, sell your first client. I think there's even some stuff on pricing structure, but also the Circle. I don't know if you guys joined Circle yet, but the Circle community is really good for asking questions like this and just getting people's input. I would definitely start with checking with Amber and get it into Circle if you guys are already. Go from there. A structure thing. It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of like I'm calling these calls at times and just asking like, hey, what do you think's the best way to sell this? What do people charge? And it really comes down to comfortable with. What I see most people do is they start out, they're off, go for a higher tier immediately and charge anywhere from $1,000 to like $5,000. I've seen people charge a lot more than that though. But that's just kind of the average. They'll sell full support. We're going to give you direct access to these. Well, the customer's not going to get direct access to an engineer. They don't have the ability to speak to the founders, like none of that. So that's like the biggest part of the pitch is just getting the pitch right, and charging upfront and not usually charging like a monthly payment unless you're doing like recurring maintenance. But as far, I mean, it's really up to however you want to do it. I've just seen people have success where they charge an upfront amount to build the agent. They collect the money, and they using the client's information for like the year, and they just have usage charged directly to the client, and don't have to worry about like managing. Oh crap, how much do they spend on our account? Okay, how much do we need to rebuild them? Just makes it so much easier if it all comes off one source.
I see. So like, is there's like any main steps we need to follow and then the rest is ours? Like, I believe there is the Everflow client dot that's necessary. Like, they have to go through
Yeah.
this.
You definitely set up your Everflow. There's a course in AirU if you guys haven't seen it yet on how to set that up, how to get your account going. Everflow works in general. That's like that's the first thing you should do when you're setting up to sell to a client, because you want, if you don't have it set up, you can still sell to the client, and then you can ask the guy and Jared, or you can also ask her. So if you're like, oh crap, I didn't get Everflow set up, you can still go ahead and sell to the client, just have them sign up normally and let us sync it after the fact. But that's the first thing I would do is set that up so you can accurately track their usage and understand how affiliate commission and all that works. And then once you've gone from there, once you have the Everflow account set up, you can have them go and either you create their account for them or they create the account, and either using your commission, your referral link from Everflow. And then pretty much at that point, it's up to you how you want to set things up. Want to have like an agent, maybe like some school on their main account, or just on an account that they use kind of as like a warehouse for their agents that they sell. They will host all their agents there, and then as they sell to new clients, they'll bring clients on board, and they'll just ask us and Slack to copy their agents and their knowledge bases over from that like main account where all the agents are sitting to the client they sold to. So you don't have to totally rebuild out so on the same agent every time.
It's like choose your own adventure. You will sell it however you do your business. There is no like stand.
We can tell you like the actual pricing of air. And this is something you physically couldn't do, not as in like, oh, don't do it or we're gonna get mad. But like you physically could not make them pay more money per minute or per whatever like dial time. If you wanted to try that, you could find some way to do it, but it wouldn't be officially done through air. It would be like you bill you recharge them. The only thing we don't allow is for anyone to advertise they are air themselves. So you can't say like, hey, I'm the founder. Or you can't use our logo and say specifically your air, but you can say you're like an agency of air, and we're totally cool with that. And using us in marketing material, but just making it clear like you are not the company itself.
Mhm.
So that's about it.
So the pricing per inbound or outbound, can we like have different pricing for it that let's assume we're gonna go with like monthly subscription kind of base model where we charge them upfront price to set up the, everything and we'll process that payment through GHL or Stripe or whatever.
Mhm.
With that monthly maintenance fee, is it allowed like through your guys' contract and all of that with us? And we charge them for a different price per minute for each call and just charge them with our monthly subscription and maintenance fees and all.
Yeah, if you wanted to rebuild them yourself, like if you wanted to say put your payment method on the account and you get charged all the usage, all we care about is that someone's usage. If you want to have some agreement with them and you can get them to pay for it, and you can then upcharge by charging them whatever amount you agree to, that's totally fine. We don't mind that at all.
Got it. And one last thing regarding the GHL and appointments thing. Is there's a way during the call, like to set the agent to ask, like, hey, do you want a text or an email with the link for this appointment for the Zoom meeting and whatever it was? And can
Yeah.
the agent collect like the email by itself? Like, can it input that data or save it somewhere? We can process however we.
Yeah, so what you can do is have the agent ask questions. I mean, you can ask, obviously, you can have the agent say whatever you want. You can have them ask questions along the lines of like, hey, can you give me your email? Hey, can you give me your cell phone number? And the main thing you want to do before you ever send a text, though, to ask for consent. So if you want to text them something, be like, hey, awesome, do you consent to us sending you a quick text message with a link to material? And if they say, you could have that be a logic branch. It's like, if they say yes, okay, great. Or their opt-in as far as SMS, you don't have to do this in your script, but if you're using a contact where you only collected their opt-in to be called, which most opt-ins usually collect SMS. I just don't know what your guys looks like. So if you want to be super safe, you can have the agent ask if they are okay with you texting them. So you could have that logic branch go down to a node where it's like, okay, great, I'm going to send you a text right now. Be on the lookout for some information. And that node would have a custom action on it. And that custom action would fire off to wherever your Zapier or webbook URL points to. And then we do have a tutorial on action processing. And you can set up whatever workflow. The basic idea is just whenever an action fires, we send over like the name of the workflow set up somewhere that just looks at every action that gets fired. And then, if the name of it, maybe you have a custom bit of logic that's like, okay, if the name is send PDF link, if that's the name of the action, then you're like, oh, I know what action that is. That's the action on script ABC to send them a link to our PDF. Then you take the phone number that came over with that action, you send a text to them, and you're good to go. That's all done in like your own workflow.
So Air itself the agent itself doesn't have the ability to save or have the action automatically set to save a phone number or to collect an email. It has to go through like Zapier, for example.
Yeah, it has to be like we'll put that information that they say in the transcripts. We will transcribe everything they say, but Air doesn't like update the contact on the platform with a new phone number or a new email. It'll just come out in the transcripts, and then you have to use a workflow somewhere. You could use something like Zapier. You could also use cheaper alternatives. I think you're still pretty good, like Active Pieces, which is really cheap. You could use stuff like N8N, or your own. Maybe you guys code your own server, however you want to do it. But you do have to use an external tool to process the transcripts then at that point and do whatever you want with that data.
Would GHL automation tools be capable of doing that since we already have the API key and it's already tied up to Air?
Yeah, HL's good for that actually. You can because you can use ChatGPT inside of GHL automation, and ChatGPT is used to extract most of this information. You just have to write a prompt that's like, hey, I'm going to give you the transcripts for a call. The prospect may have said their email, but if they did, they text me. Or same thing, they gave their phone number or whatever you want to do at that point. But you can just build your own prompt to control how you process it.
All right. Thank you, man, very much for your help. I know I took much of your time today in this meeting, but I
Always.
really appreciate the help. Wish you have a
Absolutely.
great weekend.
You too. Hope you have a good one.
You too.
See ya. Kevin, go for it. Let's go.
Hey guys,
Hey.
thanks a lot. Still learning as I go along. I don't know if my partner Marco is on here. But one of there was a couple of things you wanted, but I was concerned. I had a couple. Go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of things. Hey, Tyler, what's going on, man?
Let's go.
Not too bad. Hey, so first thing, I have an account that I threw in a Slack channel to clone in our Slack channel. New client.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that's that. That's number one. Second thing we had is we had a problem that we just noticed today with the call transfer. So like if a human is adamant, the agent was just not transferring a call and like literally said, I can't transfer you yet, not until you answer this question. So I don't know if you've run into that before, and what do we have to do to overcome that? Because it's going to happen on all the 2.0 first.
So you want the person to just like in the middle of the call be able to interrupt it and be like, no,
Right,
transfer me.
because
Oh, agent.
yeah, the person want to speak with someone, so obviously, we don't want to piss off, any client. So if they want to speak to a human, but they want to speak to someone when it transfers.
That makes sense. With the knowledge base, because you can't put live transfers on the knowledge base. You can't put end calls. You can put live transfers on there and custom action.
Okay, so what do we have to do in the new 2.0 world to execute that in the knowledge base?
It's actually exactly the same as 1.0. So you just run the script though. Well, it's exactly the same in terms of how it lives there. The way you add it is still pretty similar. You just click add an action when you're on the script. I think you can also go in the knowledge base directly, create the card, and then just add an action from there. But you go into the script, you can do it either way. You just create the action. You do it from inside the script. You'll choose the type of action, and then they'll say, okay, do you want to add it to a line in the script, or do you want to add it to a knowledge base card? You choose the knowledge base card, create the card, you maybe make the question like transfer me to agent or something like that. And then you make the body whatever you want. And then there's going to be a live transfer action attached to the card. So because it doesn't work the way it did in 1.0, in terms of like in 1.0, we were transferring based on if we saw a word get matched. This knowledge base transfer is going to work exactly the same way that just live transfers in 2.0 already do, where whenever that card fires and finishes firing, it's going to execute whatever actions attached to it. So it's pretty bulletproof, actually. Oh, I think you might have gotten. You did? Wait, let's see. Yeah, I did. Here. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so I'm a little slower to see that.
Kevin?
Yeah, hear you.
Yeah. Kevin, are you? Did I lose him?
Oh, so you muted as well? He's muted. There you go. Unmuted.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to ask your question?
Oh no. Well, listen. I had an account that I couldn't make any calls whatsoever this morning at around 9:00 Eastern.
Oh, yeah. All of the accounts.
I had people call me left and right saying that they had issues. Were you aware that everything was down?
Yeah, pretty quickly, but we were aware and resolved it. Sorry about that. That was an inconvenience for sure.
Is there? I mean, like, I know we've talked about this in the past, and Kevin and I were talking about this. Is there anything that you guys can do?
Sorry, you cut out for me. Oh, you're muted again? Try again?
Well, I can finish it. We talked about last time when you guys were down, that you or blasts out to people saying that, the system is down and we're working on to fix it. So, we're not caught by surprise.
Yeah, once we knew this was down, we fixed it within like 5 minutes. So there was nothing to send out and notify anyone about. So we just like fixed it and like it was resolved. I don't know truthfully how long it went on for. It got raised to me and I raised it and like literally within 5 minutes. It was a pretty simple thing. We had to resolve and it was good to go. If it had been like ongoing, if it had gone on for hours affecting us, we definitely would put out an announcement like, hey, heads up, this is affecting. And also just so you know, when that happens, we when we have issues like that we know are like killing calls, this won't help inbound campaigns, but for outbound campaigns, we will turn our calling servers down to nothing basically, so we can't keep calling and wasting your money and placing calls are just dead air. Obviously, inbound doesn't help. But on outbound, we scale down right away so that we're not wasting anyone's leads.
Yeah, I saw that when I initiated things. We only had like 3 calls being made, so I do appreciate that. How do you guys send that information out to us? Because I just want to make sure.
Sure. If when there is announcements, which there hasn't been one of those in a long time, there hasn't been a like extended period of downtime for a while. We send them out with the little notification bell icon inside the app. I talked about this like a week or two ago. We're actually trying to work on a lot of new communication avenues, things like a newsletter we send out, kind of like air wins, stuff like that, as well as just announcements through that bell little button there. Nothing that's come to fruition yet because we actually had some issues with our, but stuff that's pretty much worked through now. So any like major announcements, if they are like urgent, like, hey, we need to tell you guys it's broken, or like, or even just like product announcements, they'll come out through that little bell icon. If there are announcements about, for example, the launch form, which I wanted to send out last night, did not today, that will come over a Slack channel announcement. So anything that's like critical you see or just it's worth telling you about, will come over the form of like a message in your Slack channel, the account called announcements. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Slack would be easier for me to visualize than anything on the bell.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, thanks. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good questions. Right. Dave, go for it.
Hi, Tyler. Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Okay. Yeah, mine is a little bit less important, but here's and this has all to do with compliancy. So, Vonage has form that we have to fill out. I guess we've been kicked off of Twilio permanently forever. I don't know how we get back on.
Wow.
I didn't even know that we did anything wrong. I mean, because we're a very compliant company. We always do things by book and all that type of thing. So, we have human agent and we have the air agent, thing, going on. But let me ask you this. Okay, Vonage has just I don't know if you remember, but we're a bathroom remodeling company, and we never do cold or any of that. All of our leads are bought, through various vendors, various lead suppliers, and all that. Now they understand that they have to be compliant with the new TCP rules and regulations and FCC rules, and and so forth. How do we let Vonage know that we're being compliant? We obviously have it on our website, but when you're dealing with over 30 companies that provide you leads, and they're they have to be compliant or they'll go out of business. How do we deal with this? I mean, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, as far as we actually have not had anything happen with Vonage yet. This is not any work on it. As far as like them getting reports of like honeypot dials and stuff like that, what Twilio did. But with Vonage, we have like very direct communication with them as a company that we didn't have with Twilio. Well, we sort of did with Twilio,
Yeah.
but the people who are were our account reps were honestly useless.
Yeah.
And, they they know you literally told us to do this. So,
Yeah,
and
we
that,
went back and sorry, go ahead.
oh, we have much better communication with online. So if you're doing your complete full due diligence on your side,
100%. Yeah.
you'll make it through the approval. We'll have information on file to show Vonage. If anything ever does come through, like, hey, this is all their business information. This is where they're collecting their leads. And at that point, if Vonage needs us to gather or to provide information to rebuke maybe like some sort of honeypot penalty or something, like penalty complaint, we'll do that on your behalf for you at that point. So I don't think you're gonna have it. But I hope you have an issue with Vonage. Twilio is also just once Twilio gets any fear about your account, they're very aggressive at taking like more strict measures and future penalties. So you may have gotten like banned from Twilio over something that is like not actually what Twilio just wanted you off the platform at that point. It's not even like obviously it's not. It's like
we don't.
They're very
it's business.
Yeah, they're very aggressive, mainly because Twilio has had their like telecommunications license almost revoked a couple times now. They're like on thin ice. So if they see anything that is like any indication that you might be compliant, they pretty much remove you right away.
Yeah, right. I'm just yeah, but we're one of those companies that does everything the book, and by through rules and everything. So we found, we were just taken a little aback, about some of the things that were going on, that was going on with them. Our web developer and everything, or all the language should be or is in the process of new language, as far as the way we communicate with our potential customers, is that we may also contact them, using artificial intelligence or a recorded voice of some sort. We're trying to make sure that everything going on, because in all businesses that we know are going that way, as far as trying to cut out the human element and mistakes. But anyhow, thank you. I have nothing else. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say too, I wanted to send out the form yesterday. I did not because we weren't ready. I just didn't have time. But because you guys are awesome and you guys are here on a Friday, I just went ahead and dropped the link. I'm still gonna post like a formal announcement in your Slack channels that gives like full context on it and the whole process. Kind of outline it now. When you submit that form, we have a team internally that will review your submission. If like any information you give is seen as like not compliant enough, they'll get back to you. And you don't have to ping me about the approval. It's two people in your Slack channel named Basem, BASE. They'll give you updates as soon as they have one if you guys submit it. But you can just go ahead and get started now. That's what we've been waiting on. So you can submit that form, provide your information, and then our team will just review them as they come in. We're working on. We've been trying to like get it prepared where it's 24-hour turnaround on things. It hasn't quite gotten there yet. Hasn't anyone got? There's like a few works that went through it to test it, and they had several days in some cases, but better than having no idea when it's coming. So yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and submit that form, we'll be working on getting on Vonage right away.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a Friday present for everyone. Okay, cool. Let me move on to Brian. How's it going? Go for it.
Hey, good man. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
I wish I knew Slack better. We're having a hell of a time getting comfortable with Slack, but it's, I love getting on these calls because I learned so much from everybody else that's talking about what they're going through. With respect to Vonage that you were just talking about, when that's going to be that'll be based on each of our clients, right? So if we submit one of those forms, we have to be either filling it out as if we are, is that right?
Yeah, so you guys can fill it out on behalf of the client, but just make sure you're using their information and not your information. And it is like per Eric account. So if you have like 5 clients, you just have to submit the form 5 times, once for each of the clients, and just ask them to give you their information, and that will ensure they're fully compliant, and not just on our end, like that we're compliant, but also we'll make sure they don't accidentally end up doing something that's illegal that could get them fined. So yeah, once per.
Okay, and so inside of Air, the Twilio integration would no longer be necessary. There's something else you're doing to hook it up through Vonage.
Yeah, so once you get approved under Vonage, The guys who manage that program, they also, once you're approved, send out a announcement in your, or send out like a message in your channel to let you know, hey, you're on Vonage now. We don't actually immediately turn on Vonage on the account. We enable Vonage so that already dialing on Twilio inbound numbers right now have some time to solve if they want to. But once they tell you that, hey, you're on Vonage, they send a video over that I filmed a while back that will show you the exact setting you change in your account. There's literally just going to be a new tab in your settings called VoIP. And once you have Vonage access, you can just turn it. You can actually turn it from Vonage to Twilio whenever you want if you want to. There's not really going to be a reason to do that. But if you feel like Vonage laggy or those other issues, whatever, you have the option to go back to Twilio. So,
Okay. Yeah, the one thing that that we were waiting on with respect to Vonage is better for like the lead transfers or inbound calling. Does it will actually recognize that the call has been released, or will get from air and just you're then now talking to a live rep. Is that the like main functionality difference?
Yeah, that stuff's way better. We properly end the call on air's end when the transfer happens, and you don't get billed for that.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure of that. So I'm highlighting my questions here. So the synchronizing accounts you're talking about sound like add numbers or change numbers on Twilio, assumingly the same with Vonage. We have to kind of ping you guys in Slack and ask you to synchronize the account.
On Vonage, there's no like synchronizing numbers. You just like we manage your account, and you have the number you have on there. Versus on Twilio, if you want to do that, you like Twilio gives you a little bit more control in that aspect. In the near future, or I shouldn't even say near, like pretty soon, we're gonna on Vonage to like pick your area code and stuff like that. That's not a thing at the moment.
I see.
So on Twilio, you can still do all that. Twilio, whenever you do that, you do have to sync your numbers. But on Vonage, you just have the numbers on your account, and you don't have to manage them. You don't have to figure anything, or they're just there.
So we would just say we want 2 numbers or 3 numbers or whatever, and it's going to be any area code across the country.
You don't even have to say like, "Hey, buy more numbers." We'll just automatically do that as you start to accrue a lot of dials on one account. There's some measures on Vonage that aren't on Twilio that do like essentially like dial spreading, like spreading the calls out across multiple accounts or multiple phone numbers, so that you don't have one phone number just get marked as spam like really quickly.
Does it have some of that same some of those same options where you're going through and kind of there's a bunch of new beta things in Twilio where it's to make your calls less spammy and stuff like that? Does Vonage just kind of have those inherently as a part of their solution?
Yeah. So that's one big bonus of Vonage too. Well, there's 2 big bonuses. One, the pricing is substantially cheaper on Vonage, and then on Vonage, your account is automatically put onto a profile that is shake and stir, I guess. Which I don't know who here has done that on Twilio, but it's an option you can do to submit your business profile, and then basically have your account put on like a higher quality set of like phone lines. That's what I could compare it to. That makes your likelihood of being marked spam a lot lower.
Okay, that's a lot of advantages. It sounds like of selecting Vonage.
Yeah, Vonage is pretty awesome.
So who creates the account then? You guys will create the account once they submit the application, but they'll have to be billing from the client set up through Vonage. Like, how does that all happen? Is that part of the instructional video, or?
Yeah, good question. So once you're on Vonage, like you don't have access to the VoIP provider. You don't even have to modify. You don't have to do anything. You literally just get to experience it there. You get to use Air. We have essentially a master account, kind of like how you guys on Twilio have master and sub accounts. We have our own master account on Vonage that gets discounted pricing and all that stuff. And when you get put onto Vonage, we create a new sub account on our account for you, and then your account is just operating off of that. And like we're managing it, we're buying new numbers as needed, stuff like that. You don't have a VoIP account to even log into. Your bill for Vonage will just come out as a second charge once a day on your Air account, the same way the current charge happens. It'll actually be like an hour after that charge, I believe. You'll just get billed you accrued on Vonage that day was, and that's it.
Is it titled a little different way so you can tell the difference between the two aside?
Yeah, I don't remember what the statement descriptor is, but it's a slightly different statement descriptor. Yeah. If for the people that were here back in the day when we had our own Twilio account that we hosted for you, it'll be the same statement descriptor that was back then. I don't recall what it was, but it says Air and it says something different, so you'll be able to notice it's for VoIP usage. Amber in Slack, she knows a lot about our I guess our charges, what the exact statement descriptor is.
Okay. So to be clear though, if we do sign up Vonage, we have to tell the client, well, it could be calls coming from California, even though you're here in Minnesota, or that kind of thing.
Exactly. In the future, we'll come out with a way for you to be able to control area codes and manage. It's just not a feature we could get out in time right now.
You think it'll be weeks, months? Any idea?
I think it will be weeks until I'm able to give us an internal like procedure for the support team in Slack to be able to change your numbers for you, because I don't have the bandwidth to change it for everyone like I used to back in the day on Twitter. And then probably like months, like I would say hopefully like within 2 to 3 months, we have like a full feature out for you to be able to pick the area code on outbound. Still pick the area code on inbound, I should say. You're not going to be to use like some random country or random area code on inbound. You can still specify what that is, but it's a lot more complicated on outbound because we're swapping through a bunch of phone numbers for you. So on outbound, if we let you pick area code just with the current state of the platform, you'd end up being heavily marked as spam because we don't have any mechanisms to keep buying, like, for example, only 408 area codes, only 775 area codes, so on and so forth.
Okay. That's helpful to know. Probably the only other really important thing I guess I can think of right now is I'm just curious how people have made the transition from 1.0 advanced into the 2.0, because the new AR accounts that we create just have 2.0 in there. And as you know, our account kind of broke when we added 2.0, so the 1.0 stuff stopped working, and then Jeremy was able to get things working in advanced, and now we want to try and finally go live with our insurance client. We're trying to get it done for a week or two now. But we have it in advanced, and his account is only 2.0. So is it how horrible is the process of you manually moving it, or someone really moving it from our account into the 2.0 of our client's affiliate account?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it depends on how long your script is. 2.0 scripts, I mean, I'm biased because I helped build 2.0 and I've done a lot of script in it. But building 2.0 scripts is like really easy. It's a lot easier than building in advance. And if you have a script in advance that's like not very long, like, I mean, if you have a script that's a 20-minute call, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to just create all the notes for that. But if you have a script that's like a 2, 3, 4-minute call, it's going to be pretty fast building that out. And in 2.0, it's really honestly like not hard at all to build out 2.0 scripts. 2.0, like the UI, I think is very intuitive. It's just obvious. You're just like, oh, I'm building a note here. Okay, they're going to talk, then it's going to go to here, then they're going to talk, then it's going to go to here. So you should be able to build, like, you should be able to move a script from advanced to 2.0 in just a matter of like a few minutes. If you
do you have like any videos? I think for me, I'm pretty ignorant to the whole thing. Jeremy's the one that studied up most of those things, and it's like explaining that you don't really mess around with the personality or any of that stuff in 2.0. It's more straightforward, I guess. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like prompting. Like when you write an advanced script, you have access to like the entire prompt that the agent gets, versus in 2.0, there's like a base prompt that you don't have to mess with at all. Like you don't have any control over, and all you're doing is just filling out the script that is fed to that prompt essentially. So you have less control, but less is actually, in my opinion, and like the reason we built it this way, in our opinion, is because less is better. It's a lot less confusing. With advanced, there's a lot of ways you can like break your script and not even know it.
Yeah, that's again. Less control, but less things to break. So
exactly.
It's worth the change there.
And for what it's worth too, that client you guys are selling to, if you want them to be able to use that 1.0 script, you can ask any of us in your channel, Ahmed, Kobe, or Kobe's out as well, Ahmed or Mike, or I think even Kiara can add people back to one. Like, I really don't want to take the time to build out 2.0 right now. I just want to put them on this advanced script. We can convert their account to have access to 1.0 if that's preferable.
Yeah, I know you said that. I just probably, knowing that we've had issues with ours having both, I think maybe it's just cleaner to help only have 2.0 in there, it sounds like. Or just, I get that. Maybe it's not worth messing around with that. But do you happen to have any just like, and I think I'm probably overthinking, I know I'm overthinking it, but do you have something that's like said, hey, here's an example of me moving this 1.0 to 2.0 and kind of, so we just say, oh shit, yeah, it is as easy as it sounds, right?
I don't have any videos of me converting a script. I do have a video of me just when we introduce the feature, like, hey, here's how 2.0 works. Here's how you build a script. I think you're overthinking it for sure. It'll be like,
for sure. Yeah.
I don't say that in any way at all either.
No, I know.
Let me link you. Well, let me find a link for you real quick.
I think that whole AI thing is beyond my brain in the first place for some of this stuff. I'm still just like surprised that it, now I understand a little more being on these calls that you guys are trained to do some things. Because before I went, where the hell did it come up with a joke? Or why does it ask me about the weather? I didn't, you know, and so now I understand that a little better.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let me, can you guys remind me what your Slack channel name is?
Slack channel name, yes, that's a long one. Hold on. Boy,
Oh,
Slack.
it's AI driven.
Yeah, AI driven results something LLC or something like that. Yeah.
All right, I will drop. I'm film a new quick start like tutorial video pretty soon, but until then, this one's the most recent, and it's pretty up to date. So I just like that channel if you want to follow that. That just shows like how 2.0 works, how you build out scripts.
Awesome.
Basic stuff. So yeah, once you guys give it a try, I think you'll find it. You'll adapt to 2.0 really fast, and 2.0 is just a lot more like it's a lot easier to understand than it is looking at the advanced script. If you're already using an advanced script, if you've looked at that script and you understand how it's working, then 2.0 is gonna be a joke. Turns out.
All right. Last question I have for you. I think I've said that. Yes, sometimes I get a kick out of the last question that goes on. Last question. But this last question: is there someone available all weekend? Like if I'm trying to tackle this and I need to hit someone up in Slack, are there people around that can respond?
Kiara used to do weekends, and then she moved to weekdays. I don't know if there's anyone around Slack. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. I mean, I still usually work weekends, but I'm working on like other tasks that like when I miss all day, I don't really get much done.
Yeah, of course. I can only imagine what your side looks like. I can't figure out my side. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Okay,
there's like this. I can't say for sure what it will be. I actually don't know what people's schedules are right now. Sometimes there isn't. But if there's something really urgent, feel free to hit the whole channel in there, and if anyone's around, they will try to forward it over to whoever needs to see it. I know you guys are trying to get something out by I think Monday. You said.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well,
we were this month, and now he's to this point where he's like, well, hey, I've got this bonus coming if I can hit these numbers. No shit. Now there's no fooling around now.
Yeah, that's understandable. If you guys want to, I mean, I'm be around. I'm still gonna be around today, so if you guys want to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna continue working for a while. I'll let you know. I appreciate it, man.
Perfect.
That's all I got for you.
Okay, sounds good, man. I appreciate that. All right, have a good one. Patrick, go for it. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Actually had a few questions, and some of them were, I don't want to say lengthy, but they might just be more hypothetical. Then I have a few other people. They can go first, and then we can come back to me.
Sure, that works. Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and just put your hand back up, and I'll come back to you after everyone else. Appreciate that. Corey, go for it. How's it going?
Hey, Tyler, can you hear me?
Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, good. All right. Yeah. Good. I'm on my phone. I'm out and about, and we were running into troubles with this guy that's making a lot of calls on his account. Definitely overbilling like crazy. Like sets a budget like $50 on campaigns, but sets a budget for like $50, and it's at $200.
Wow, did it stop?
It didn't stop. I think maybe it did by the time it hit 200. But we had something yesterday from he set it for 20, it's at 100 when it finally stopped, and then the calls in there are just crazy. Like they should be voicemail detect. I mean, it's like Google Voice mail or something. It's a Google Voice Assistant or something like that. I think it says. And then the answering machine drops off, and then the calls are just like they just go on and on. Really, hey Greg, the AI just keeps doing that for an hour.
For an hour?
Oh yeah.
So there shouldn't there's a hard cutoff of 2 minutes. They don't speak. If we don't hear anything, that is, we will hang up after 2 minutes. So I wonder if that's really weird. I don't know how the calls were going on for an hour. That should be impossible.
Yeah,
Unless
it should be.
there was like,
You would think
unless
it
there was
would
like
be, and it's
unless there was a voicemail or like a, I don't know, a call screener sitting there talking to them the whole time. I'm like, sorry, what'd you say? Sorry, press 1 to try again or something like that.
I didn't hear anything on the couple that I checked out. He submitted 19 hours worth yesterday.
Oh my
It
god.
was- yeah, and then he's got another, I don't know how many hours today. He ran that.
Okay, gotcha.
And put it in. I put it in the Slack, and yesterday I put it in the Slack, but he's kind of freaked out about it because he's like, it's just doing crazy stuff. And I don't think there's anything we could do with the script, and they're usually voicemails. What I've been seeing, it's like it's not detecting it or something, and it just.
Yeah, I mean the
And
voicemail
then-
definitely is not perfect. Do you guys have do you have any knowledge base cards that catch voicemails by chance?
Well, I can't end a call on them,
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like,
and that's why I was pinging you up about the in-call action and the voice in the knowledge base cards.
that's a very good point.
So-
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It's a Google Voice Assistant or something. I think is what it says.
One other thing you could do is you could make a lot like 2 branches off of the opening node. That's like if the human says and put like phrases in there, you're seeing most commonly come from those assistants or voicemails or whatever. And, like if the human says type 1 to be transferred, or if the human says whatever, and then like a node or a branch that's like if the human says something that sounds normal, or if the human speaks like a normal person, or if the human has like a normal response, something like that. You could try to catch smells
Okay.
there too.
Okay, and as far as the calls that have already happened, we're just planning on submitting them.
Yeah, you could definitely submit that, and you'll get refunds for those. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, for refunds. And he's concerned, of course, about the Twilio charges too that he's gotten on that. They're just like, not good calls.
Yeah, that's understandable. I don't know if you saw in the phone that I linked the Vonage form in the chat. I'm gonna send out the whole announcement for it. I just haven't had time, but it's all ready to go. So I sent out the form in the chat earlier if you want to apply him to be on Vonage.
Yeah,
It'll take a couple of days to approve it, but it's dramatically cheaper than Twilio.
yeah. You were just addition too.
Yeah, but Twilio, especially if he has a bunch of short calls that just hang up, I imagine if he has a lot of calls that can get detected by voicemail, there's also a lot of calls that did get detected, and those calls will up to 60 seconds by Twilio in terms of Twilio.
Right.
So
yeah. 1 minute resolution.
Yeah.
So, can I give you his account number or his account email?
For anything in particular?
Just look at those calls. I mean, they're like a lot of them.
Oh, if you mean like in terms of voicemail, I've raised that with the team. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I
was just talking about the long ones now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go if you can in Slack, because I won't remember it here on my phone as well. If you can, when you go back to your computer, if you can in your Slack, you can link the account, or you can just link the recordings of a couple of those calls. I need to find the call SID, which if you download the recording like the normal way, it has the file name be the call SID.
Okay.
I just need to find the Twilio call SID. So if I can find that, I can pull that call up and see what the heck there. Hopefully we can fix that.
Yeah. He's got a ton of them. Like today was a $50 budget, and it shut off, or he shut it off around 200, and then he was just like, it's a mess.
Well, what's interesting with budgets is we could for sure just restrict, say, hey, second you go over $50, but the problem is we don't do that because we end up hanging up a lot of calls where they're we used to also probably do this now. We used to, when the budget ends, cut any like planned calls. I don't think I think if we schedule a ton of calls, if you have budget for it, when we go to schedule it, we'll keep it going. And then what happens is even when your campaign, like once you hit your budget limit, you will not schedule any new calls. but all the existing ones will still run. So that's why
Yeah.
you can see the budget gets so high, especially if you have some that are going like an hour or 2 hours long. That's be like a tenth of your budget right there.
Yeah, I think he had one that was 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and the transcript is just, the bot, hey Michael, hey Michael, hey Michael.
That's
And
crazy.
it just goes on and on and on. Like it's just like scrolls, endless scrolls of that.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I'll work on the script and see if I can't put some detection at the top end so that we don't get that goofiness.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there's a budget problem per se, except for maybe these calls that are in flight. If you have a bunch of them in flight simultaneously, there's look eligible to schedule, so they get scheduled, and you end up with some big numbers at the end.
Yeah, that's because pretty much like we won't keep scheduling calls, but the calls that are already running will keep going. So like the budget will keep accruing until all those are done. So one thing you could do is set his budget really low. So it's like maybe $10, $25 if he's really worried about that.
He's running multiple campaigns and they're all going way over.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Anyway. Okay, well, I'm sure you were aware of that, and we'll get you the info in the Slack channel and get you some examples so that we can try to resolve this, or at least identify what we can do. It was definitely voicemail.
Gotcha. We'll definitely fix that. The one that's like 2 hours. We've been trying to find that bug for a little while because some people have raised that before. We can never reproduce it. So actually, very, very helpful. So thanks for saying that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll try to scrounge that up. Then I screwed some stuff up last night. You just not be editing scripts at 2 a.m. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Need to have last call around midnight and just pack it in.
Plenty of those mistakes. I feel you.
Yeah. Go crack open the bar or something and do not edit scripts. Because I was testing a script in ChatGPT and I left the actual positive script text in there.
Oh
instead of put variable in.
Oh no. Yeah, you gotta put like some parental control locks on the computer so you just can't do anything after 10 p.m.
Exactly. Because it comes out with a lot of false positives now. Like everything that hits it, because it's got a script in there that says, they're interested. So 100%. Works every time. All right. Hard coded.
That's funny.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hope you very well. Still have a good weekend.
Yeah. Go get some sleep, I guess.
All right. See you.
Thanks.
Josh, go for it. How's it going?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Okay. Yeah, pretty good. I had a few different questions with integrating a few different things. I wouldn't mind waiting to the end, but it's up to you. I kind of had some questions about potentially integration with something else besides Twilio or Vonage, and if there's any kind of custom, I'd be willing to do the work on my end as much as possible to make some of this necessary. I kind of moved away from some things, and I'm kind of hard coding everything at this point. I can't wait till the end of the call. It's going to be maybe a little bit more technical. I had a few questions kind of in regards to some of that kind of stuff. So,
gotcha. I mean, I can save you some time and just tell you though in regards to integrating a new VoIP provider. The only thing you could do there would be like adding another VoIP provider into the chain, not removing even to get it took for us to integrate that with our system was like pretty tremendous. So I don't think you're going to get anywhere in regards to like if you wanted to swap over to a different VoIP provider. Although I'm not really the one to determine that. It's more so the founders who would be the one to talk about that in Slack. But just so you know, pull out hairs, you don't need to lose. I don't think you're going to get anywhere in regards to trying to swap in a whole new VoIP provider. Well, I have personally done stuff before. Like, there's some kind of like hacky things you can do to get around the fact that anyone who hasn't done a live transfer doesn't know this yet. We'll figure this out when they do one. We aren't able to show the prospect's phone number when we transfer a call because that would be spoofing. The carriers don't allow that right now. Twilio and Vonage don't allow that. So I found some sort of like hacky ways to make these like Twilio workflows where you have the person call into the Twilio workflow, and then you can actually forward them off of that when the call ends to somewhere else. So these calls that I want to forward to someone where the prospect number has to show up on the transfer, actually having error transfer, I just put this person, or I have them call into a Twilio workflow, and then when it's time for error to transfer, I have error end the call, and then when the call is ended by error, then the Twilio workflow will just forward them over to a new number where it does show their number as the prospect number essentially, because it's totally separate from error. But that's kind of like the extent of what you can get to at the moment with like using another provider. And again, that wasn't replacing a provider because that account was in Vonage. Just had Twilio integrated in the mix.
Yeah, it was just more of a layer. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I definitely had a couple more questions about general latency and stuff like that. And then like, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be kind of technical, but you know, even like in the calls, latency between, you know, anything, especially if there's not a question there. And obviously in the script, if there's a question there, there's an expected pause. Say one node to another, you know, and obviously I'd work around and put a question at the end of every node to reduce latency. But I was just wondering about latency, and then outbound, inbound is more latency on one than the other. What can I do on my end to reduce latency as much as possible?
Sure.
As far as the actual call flows.
Yeah, good questions. So the best way to reduce latency is, I think you kind of commented there, it's like human psychology is like in a period of time where they'll be ideally talking over where the agent, well, I mean, no matter what, they have to talk for it to move from node to node, but just trying to like fill in the downtime with them being, or like, I don't know, doing anything you can is to essentially you can make the first like sentence or two of a node be like one word long. That sentence will get generated a lot faster than a sentence that does like 10 words, 20 words, 50 words. Because before we can audio, we have to first stream the entire, or we have to generate the entire like sentence as audio basically. So if the first line in your node is a bunch of words, or the agent's not going to say even the first word, the last word generated, if that makes sense. So that's yeah. So that's one little trick you can do is just make the first sentence or even two sentences like very short. Once the agent's kind of in flight speaking, it's able to, like, the agent doesn't speak at 100 miles a minute, so it's able to pretty much generate all the rest of the wording for that node asynchronously before the agent would ever get to it. It's just really getting past that initial first word or two.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. And just having a filler word or kind of shortening that down. Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of handles those latency questions. Also, to the API, your guys' API, I was going to hard code some things. I was going to start, you know, maybe moving away from those webhooks a little bit, start to play with some other stuff. I know that at least with the webhook, I can get the payload to go through, but now, like I said, I'm kind of starting to slowly try to move away and work on some other angles with this. I've just been building a lot more about code. What I was thinking about was for the internal notes. I noticed you guys actually have like a really good internal note structure there, but it seemed like the webhook payload wasn't quite passing those through in the same way that, for example, like if you go into the campaigns and then you can like segment it into the notes, like you guys had it broken out and spelled out really nice. But I wasn't getting the webhook to pass that over. I don't know if that was just me or not, but I was wondering if there's a better way to grab that.
Yeah, you're talking about the notes that are generated after a call.
So I don't know if it's just this notes generated after a call, because it'll have the transcript. But well, yeah, I guess it would be according to the verbiage on your back end, it would be notes. Yes, like if you go into recordings, for example, in the actual error section here, let me see, and then like
yeah.
Yep, and then the way you guys have it broken down into those notes, yeah. Or so then it would be, yeah, it wouldn't be the transcript, it would be the notes. I can get the transcript, but I haven't seen notes come through.
Yeah, okay, good question. So the notes, and this is I don't know if you have had a chance to see the documentation site, but the new site is it's docs.air.ai, so cs.air.ai. And I have
could you repeat one more time? You said docs.
Yeah, docs, docs.air.ai. And there are two articles up on there on both post-call data webhooks and post-call outcome webhooks. And what difference there is post-call outcome includes some information that is not generated the second the call ends. It's generated like in a different workflow, sometimes a few seconds, sometimes a few minutes later. And that information is like it's like notes, it's outcome. I think it's just notes and outcome. So access to notes, you want to be using the post-call outcome webbook. Those will never come over in the post-call data webbook. Those webbooks are identical except for the fact that post-call outcome also receives the outcome of the call, the notes of the call. That's called like primary outcome achieved, of whether or not the primary outcome was achieved during that call. So if you just
Perfect.
okay.
Yep, I see it right now. Yep, that's perfect. Perfect. So I was using that. Okay, I'll swap over to that. Yeah, I did look a little bit in this. I didn't quite catch that when I looked at it. I looked at it getting here, so
Gotcha.
That works perfect. And then just out of curiosity too. So let me see. I think that's about it. I guess I can look through here. Yeah, there's some more guides and stuff. That's good. I think that's about it for now. I may have some other questions. You said it's just like getting in another phone system there. It's going to be the founders that we're going to have to reach out to. How would I reach them on Slack? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, good question. They have an account in your Slack channel named Messages, and you can just ping them there. Like I said, just being an engineer here and like knowing our resources, it's very unlikely to happen. So I wouldn't like bet your house on it. But if you want to try to reach out to them and see what they think, definitely go for it. Those are the guys who would speak to about it.
For sure, for sure. I mean, even if I can find some form of workaround, like I said, I'd be willing to kind of put in the work, or I even have some partners and stuff that might be willing to like, there's quite. I know at least on my end, I don't know if we can actually land some of these deals that we're thinking about landing. It's going to be quite a few people that are going to want to go in that direction. I don't know how many in total, but we have maybe enough offices or something, and that maybe there's just a chance. I gotta stay optimistic on that one, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it, man. So this postal call outcome should definitely help me out. I'll probably have more questions, but I will wait for the next meeting, man. That helps me.
Perfect. Awesome, man. All good, great questions. I hope you have a good weekend. Feel free to stop by on Monday.
For sure. Thank you very much, man.
All right, good one.
You too. Bye.
All right. Steven, go for it. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Kean?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Nice.
How's your been? Crazy?
Yeah, it's been a normal week at Air.
Figured. Yeah, I just had a few questions just about like what you guys are working on. Rolling. If we already had it and we're just using our main account for like playing calls, do we still have to submit a form on that?
Yeah, we are going to ask everyone who was on it whatsoever for any reason to go ahead and submit that, and then there'll be we'll give out I don't know how to say it, there'll be a warning for anyone who hasn't done that. They're like, hey, you have a week or 2 weeks to get us the information, and we're going to take out fundage. Just get on it, one of their requirements.
Is there like a field in there or whatever, or you just put like you're only doing role playing calls with it or whatever?
Yeah. When it asks for lead source, if you want to put that there, you definitely can. I don't know if there's like a section there that's like, oh, do you want to leave any notes? I actually don't recall if there is. But you can just anywhere you see a field that seems relevant, feel free to.
Yeah, because we're mainly just using it for like testing purposes on that, and then I mean in the future if we start doing that, we can always submit like another form of, right?
Yeah. There's two guys in your Slack channel named Bosom and Bagori, or Bassam. I would pronounce it wrong. I feel terrible.
Okay.
Bassam and Bagori. And they will they're the guys who manage the approvals for Vonage. So if you actually want to submit that, just ping them in your Slack channel and let them know that give them context on that.
Gotcha.
But they're the ones to decide that ultimately. So.
Okay, so if like we ever have other lead sources coming in or anything like that we need to inform you guys about, I can Slack them.
Yeah, definitely. I would also just Slack them now though and tell them what you're trying to say. That like it's only role playing. You don't have a lead source. I don't know. Like we haven't had anyone try to get on Vonage doing that yet. So I honestly don't know what they're gonna say. They'll probably say it's fine, but I don't know. So I just think they have context. So you get more context when they make the decision on your approval.
You said it was Bassam and who?
and Bagori, Bagou.
And then yeah, only a couple other questions, just about like the features you guys were rolling out. I heard you guys were coming out with more API commands, stuff of that nature.
Trying to think. I think I actually just that we'd had a lists API route that wasn't documented. Where you could like it was kind of useless though. It didn't wouldn't be used very often. It was an API route just to create new lists, which I maybe would have some use in your CRM if you're like, oh, I'm going to make a new funnel dynamic and have all the funnels go into a specific contact list or something like that. That's like a very useful API route though. That's part of why it was never documented. Besides that, let me think. There's no other moment. There is a webhook we're gonna make in like the future. That hopefully like the nearish future. There's too much we have going on right now to make it like this week or next week. There is a webhook we're gonna make soon. That's more like a missed call webhook, like a book that is you guys have used the webhooks. You'll note that they don't tell you when a call got missed. They just don't send over anything unless the human answered. And we're going to come out with a webhook that'll show you every call that got missed, so you can be like, oh, okay, this call never got answered. Boom, okay. Because to do that at the moment, people have to do their own solutions where they just like make assumptions. Like people will send out API calls, and they'll usually have like a node, like a custom action. Sorry, they'll have a node that has a custom action on it, like 1 or 2 nodes in, like very early on the script that fires, which kind of indicates the call was answered, or kind of does indicate the call. If that's received, then they'll have like some GHL workflow, remove the person from customized calling workflow. If it's not received, then they'll just not remove them and they'll keep dialing them every couple hours. Kind of like a campaign. It's just done through API calls. So we'll have a webhook that comes out to be able to let you know, like, hey, this person did not answer. If you want to call them back, go for it.
So you guys definitely plan on adding more functionality with this in the near future.
Yeah,
attend up more important matters.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a huge amount of stuff we want to add. We just haven't had the bandwidth to, but we will.
Okay.
As we have our resources free up.
Yeah, I think you're talking about more like giving us more personalized, like kind of the stuff that the agent does. I know I was looking at like other redundancies and anything in case like you guys ever down, but I mean, you guys' uptime has been pretty decent in my opinion. But just adding like the thing, I know you guys are gonna add like a slider or something for that, or just pauses or kind of different little personality things that the agents do.
Yeah, that
are
would
you
be
guys still working on that?
We had like prototype stuff like that. We had never actually built any of it, so it's all stuff that still has to be built. I mean, technically it exists because it just lives in the form of like a column in a database. But there's no like user interface features that have been built yet. Things are just prototype stages. But yeah,
Gotcha.
we definitely do plan on coming out with personalization just for, do you want filler? Do you want, there's another thing I call it interrogative filler, where it's like when the person doesn't speak fast enough, or it doesn't speak at all, the agent will be like, hey, are you there? Just all these features that we've kind of added over time that I think makes it a better product that some people don't necessarily in all their scripts. You'll just have more control. It's giving more and more control over having these
Right, yeah. Yeah, I know that's usually a big selling point is, they get, customize how it talks as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it other than, do you guys ever plan on adding, add your own voice into it? Like voice siphoning or something?
We honestly talked about that for a long time, and then I think I don't know if that's still on the table or not on the table. We kind of realized there was a lot of liability in doing that because you can impersonate people without.
They just have to figure out like a review process, like Peter Griffin's voice or something.
Yeah. So you're not like doing what these idiots in New Hampshire did.
Yeah, the
like,
politics
voice. Yeah, because that stuff can bring a lot of very negative attention to the platform really fast. So
yeah, that's definitely something I want to because I try to remain as vigilant as possible over this stuff. So, and anything moving forward with people, so they're not just going with the wind with the technology, using it for who knows what.
Exactly. Yeah, so
Because
that's
then
kind of
that
where
ruins it.
yeah, we're trying to safeguard ourselves, sure, the company and the product, but like all of our users too. We don't ever want to have to have some like crazy issue that like temporarily suspends the platform or something like that because we're not compliant enough. So we're trying to be the poster child of compliance in this industry.
Gotcha. So like, I mean, I guess in the future they'd have to form some sort of review process. And, like, you
Yeah.
could get on a call with me or something, or like a video call, or
I
where you
we're
actually
like
know I'm
totally
using my
spitballing
own
here.
voice.
We're like totally spitballing here. For what it's
Yeah,
so, you know,
completely hypothetically speaking.
yeah, my imagination, if they ever introduce a feature like that, would be like you would have to just submit the recordings and submit proof of person speaking. I actually don't know. They would do some sort of human review step there where you.
Because I know there's like facial recognition now and stuff like that, with a lot of apps. So
Yeah,
maybe something like that. I know that's usually a big government thing. If you're ever going through any of their websites or have to do anything on there, sometimes they'll ask you to do like a facial recognition.
yeah. A lot
It's
of
pretty
times,
crazy.
currency sites like crypto sites do that too. But yeah,
But yeah, I
so
just think that would be a really cool feature to add, is just, giving people the ability to kind of use it
yeah,
as themselves.
I'd be down for that. So
But
we'll see.
yeah, it was just some crazy stuff about hypotheticals.
Gotcha.
Just kind of seeing how, what you guys have on the table as far as like personalization for the software and agents, and giving us more features and accessibility.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff that will come out with voices down the road. There's some stuff they had done and we just never had bandwidth to ship, and then random things we did like that, where we just kind of hit roadblocks. We're like, oh, well, we're not going to be able to resolve this right now, so let's table it and come back to it when we can. So there's really cool stuff we'll do. I just don't know the timelines on any of it. We have a lot more like near term features we're working on shipping.
Gotcha. Are you guys pretty solid on like the whole framework and everything, and just kind of like the foundation and the infrastructure?
Yeah,
It's
we spent a lot of
working.
money building a it's very like modular and robust. So yeah, I mean we always have ways we want to improve things, but we're pretty happy
Gotcha.
with that. We're just keep building on top of it.
So now you guys can, after rolling out the 2.0 builder and everything, I think you're kind of looking towards more personalization at this point.
Giving people more control and really just making it so you can scale to extreme lengths without like removing limitations like with Twilio's budget and like the random issues like that. That's been I mean, we've been trying to fight back against what happened with Twilio for like 6 months now. We're finally turning the corner on that with Vonage, which is fantastic. So just trying to get the platform.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other stuff too.
I'm
like
excited.
the documentation site that I'm launching. We're just trying to make the platform as like easy to use for anyone as possible without taking features away. So a lot of like tools, a lot of training, and a lot of areas. There's just so much going on. I could sit here for 10 hours try to tell you everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the only other question is, do you guys ever plan on like giving us access to those Vonage sub accounts down the line once you have like some features, just having us take care of that?
I don't think
or
so.
you guys
At least not right now.
just oversee everything?
We're actually like using such we are going to be using an unprecedented amount of sub accounts with Vonage that their user interface isn't even support how many we're going to have. So we are pretty soon not even going to have access to like the master dashboard. We're going to have to do it all through an API. But regardless,
oh wow.
Yeah, like we're going to put one of Vonage's biggest customers. Pretty cool. But regardless, though, we are.
How many are you allowed to say? How many people how many does the master one with Vonage allow?
That I don't know. Like up to a couple thousand, and then past that, we cannot like the platforms. They don't have any customers who.
Oh really?
They have what we're doing with like accounts that bring tons of users to the platform. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, all great information. Appreciate it. Definitely excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
You guys roll out next.
Same here, brother. Yeah, appreciate you.
Awesome. Hey, enjoy your weekend.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks.
Devon, go for it. All right. Craig, go for it. How's it going? Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Good. Good. How have you been? Sure, go for it. I'm on my phone, but I should be able to. Somewhat. Oh. Fortunately, that doesn't make a difference. So that don't worry about like what line number it shows. It's gonna go linearly from the opening node to the nodes in the script, just like following the lines based on logic branches, based on just the order of the lines. I'll create the logic branches off of that. If you don't create logic branches off of it, there's only going to be one line that comes off it. But if you want to have multiple nodes coming off, you totally can. And you would just add more and more and more logic branches on there until you have as many as you want. I think originally you were asking like how do you, if I understood right, like how do you get it to connect from one node down to an existing one? But the way you would do that is just by either if you want there to be logic branches, if you want it to be like if they say yes, go here, if you say no, go there, then you would create those logic branches and then drag them to the node you want. If you just have it going from one node to another, no matter what they say, then you can just drag the plus from the bottom of a node to another node and it'll travel along. Yeah, it always, yeah, exactly. Well, that's 100% of the time. If you like, some people I've seen I've seen this like twice actually. Some people built their script upside down, so they had their node go from opening node upwards, but like the line was still travel to the top of the next node, and then the bottom of that node is where it comes out of. So yeah, it's yeah, you're correct there. Yeah, yeah. The agent will just follow the arrows. So that's it. So those node titles are created in the prior node. Open line 7, that were line A where it says if the human says it is not okay, that's written inside of line 7. Before the agent leaves line 7, it's gonna look and say, do I have logic branches If I don't, I'm just going to go down the path to the next node. If I do have logic branch, I'm going to look at the outcome you described, and it's going to choose which of those are the most accurate based on what's been said so far in the conversation, and it's going to pick one of them and then go to that node. Yeah. Yeah, and the title is just there, so it's easier for you to look at and be like, oh, this node's going down here if this is the case. But that title is actually like the instructions on the previous node, if that makes sense. The text in the blue is what it uses to determine which path it goes down. So yeah, it's very important because it determines where the agent goes next. So if you didn't have either of those, the agent would there'd just be one line, and the agent would have to go that direction. But now that you added logic branches, the agent's going to say, okay, logic branch one is if the human says it is not okay, and number two is if the human says it's okay. So the agent's going to think, okay, let me look at the transcripts, let me look at the current node that I'm on, and now determine which of these took place. If the human says it's not okay, or if the human says it's okay, which of those happened? Yeah. No, you wouldn't have to add that node itself would have just said, okay, and by the way, what's your credit score? And that you would have added a logic branch, probably one that says if the human says their credit score is over 500, and if the human says their credit score is under 500. And then, yeah, the instructions you give it there are just the requirements you're telling it. Because when you added those logic branches, it added those extra plus icons to the bottom of the node that were little paths you big up. Yeah, like the first branch is always the leftmost plus sign, and then everyone after that just goes to the right. So when you create a logic branch, yeah, no problem. When you create a logic branch, you're just creating a new path off it, and it can only go that path if branch behavior you described did happen. Oh yeah, I see. Nice. Yeah, there you go. Those, yeah, I mean, you're already getting the hang of it. You're building for complex scriptures, so it's awesome to see. Yeah, and you don't need to bother with having so that blue is on a logic branch. If you don't have more than one, then there's no reason to have. It's going to be one output event, and that's going to be like exactly, yeah. So you can just delete that blue one unless you're going to add a second logic branch. So I don't think you're doing here. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. good news is when you go to create your campaign and you create an inbound campaign, you have to specify what the area code you want to use is. And once you specify that and you click create, once it creates it, open it back up, like just click on the new campaign row on your campaigns page, and it'll show you the number on that campaign on that window that pops. Yeah. Look, like there's the main campaigns page with all the rows on it. When you click on one of those rows to expand it, where you can modify the budget and all that stuff, on that pop-up it shows the number. Yeah, it says like full phone number on the bottom right, and it'll show you the number. There you go. That's awesome. Love to hear that. Appreciate you guys. It's awesome. Sweet. Alrighty. Have a good weekend, man. How's it going?
Hey, I'm working on the Vonch form, and I remembered there was a question on the interest form that you guys sent out a couple weeks ago, where we could tell you that we're only calling business numbers. But on the new form, it looks a little bit different. It wants the link to our to like where we've gotten their approval. But again, we're calling business numbers, so approval wouldn't be required.
Yeah, so what you can do on that case is just write it in like sounds kind of silly, but probably just write in like a Google Doc or something somewhere like we are only calling this, we are doing B2B calling, and then you just upload that a picture of like you explaining that as like your lead source, you'll be good to go.
Okay, I actually just typed in, we don't call consumers, we only call professionals. It fits, but is that going to be accepted by them, or you think they need a link, an HTML?
If it'll let you submit the form, then you should be good to go. There's two guys in Slack, Bosman and Bagori, and they do those reviews themselves. You also want to just like tag them in Slack as a heads up. Hey, just so you guys know, I just submitted the Vonage form. This is my email. I just want to let you know to clarify we only do B2B calling.
Yeah, you know what? It requires it to be a URL because I just tried to hit the submit on that. So all right, I'll put it on a Google Doc. Basically the same words, but I'll put it on a Google Doc.
Perfect. Okay, I appreciate that.
All right. No, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. I think Patrick and Corey are both waiting to go last, so go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, Tyler, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, is there any chance that we could get the outcomes process through GPT 4.0 or 4 Turbo versus I think it's a 3.5 right now? Because I just find 3.5 like really unreliable, even external testing, and certainly outcomes coming out of error. That it's one of the reasons we're post processing, trying to get those outcomes correct.
Yeah, I actually don't. I think you're right. I think that's still on GPT. As far as the outcome processing, could you get? I could give you honestly a prompt we use for outcome tracking. If you're doing your own outcome tracking, and then you could just run it through 4.0 yourself.
Right. I am doing. That's what I didn't want to do because it charges so much per. And the outcomes we just can't use them. Right, there are outcomes that are coming out of the calls, but they're just useless.
You're asking if we can change that? Yeah, I don't think we can. That'd be like they wouldn't because the cost is like a lot higher. I wish the same thing.
Okay.
I think it's annoying you. I totally get that. You can ask in Slack. That's not my decision. You can ask the Caleb Thomas, right? See what they say.
Okay, so that'd be the process. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see because I mean they just I mean, like we get a dash on stuff. It's actually, the other thing is it's not tagging these sufficiently. You know, it's not being, it's not picking those up every time. So someone says, don't ever call me again, and I get no outcome at all on it. I mean, I pick it up later.
What does the outcome show up as later? Does it show up as DNC later on?
Yeah, when I process it, yeah, I've got my own prompt that I've written now, and that's really accurate as long as I don't hard code it to something positive. That's really stupid, but just my.
What do you see? What do we send the outcome over on those calls where it's not DNC when it should be? Do we not sending it until later, or are we sending like
well, no, I'm just seeing the outcome being tagged as a dash. It's not like outcome at all. And then I processed it afterward and it's a DNC. For instance, I'm keeping track
later in the day. What I'm trying to get at is like, I'm wondering there's been times where we don't have real time processing on those because our server's behind. And I'm wondering if it stays dash or if that just means we didn't process it. It didn't finish yet. And like later on in the day, that dash ones become DNC or whatever the outcome is.
I'm just comparing to okay, so a call goes through, then I get post call outcome over in GHL, and it's coming through with a dash as far as the outcome goes. And I don't know how long I guess is there a way to figure out how long it takes to actually do to
it would just be when we receive the post call outcome webbook. We shouldn't send that over until I don't think we send that over until we think we have the outcome finished.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going through them manually, so I don't see all of them, but I've seen a few that do not call as tagged or not tagged, and then the other. I mean, it's also the outcomes. Just I've been able to take the exact script, put it in 3.5, and then kind of work with the prompt, and I get the wrong outcome. I get the exact same outcome as air, but then I turn it to 4. To GPT-4 Turbo, that's all that's available in GHL. And when I do that, suddenly the outcome is right. It just toggles exact prompt and script. One of them I get what air says at 3.5, and the other one 4. So we've just been running it at 4. The outcomes just that makes sense. It's just not reliable, and I've had some DNC. Leakage, I guess I'd call it. Because of that, we pick it up later. But if I'm picking up the DNC tag at the point that I'm processing with ChatGPT, I've already filtered it out of air, tagged it. So if air tags a DNC, I look at that tag and I tag DNC inside of DHL.
Yes, you just want to
talk in acronyms.
You're just looking for the outcome to be more accurate. Then I totally get that.
Yeah. So then I post process it looking for different outcomes, and I've actually gotten DNCs out of those, which means air didn't tag it that way. Because by the time it gets to me, I've already looked at the outcome variable, and it wasn't do not call. It was either unknown or dash, or I don't even know, but it's just the way processing works.
Okay.
Then I'm picking it up in my call to ChatGPT or Turbo. Anyway, that's my vote.
I don't actually think that issue is the model issue. I think that issue reported a long time ago, and we never found it. Like if it sends a dash, I think that means it failed to pick an outcome, which probably means the workflow failed, not the outcome prompt failed. Well, the outcome prompt could fail. This is one of the prompts. But if we had that prompt has to pick an outcome, it has to pick one of them. So if it's picking nothing, it's picking a dash, then something probably failed somewhere. And I should, if you want to send over some of those as well, or one of those.
I can find those. Those are tagged in the CRM. I've got those, and I can see the air outcome and then my outcome, and
they just need to be a recent one. If they're like a really old one, the call logs after 30 days get deleted, but if it's like one from today or this week, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to find something.
Okay.
Sure, I'll be able to. All right. All right, but yeah, for sure my vote, because I couldn't get GPT 3.5. I take the exact same prompt in 3.5 and it gives me what air says. And then I put to 4 and suddenly I get the outcome that makes sense. And you know, I was tight on this.
Yeah.
You know you have to be with the GPT. It's like,
Yeah.
do not.
Yeah. Yeah. Be
anything
explicit
about this.
Yeah. Definitely understand
Not
that.
very explicit. That's my thought there.
Okay. I appreciate the feedback there. Feel free, like I said, ping the founders in Slack. I think I've raised that before, but just because of the pricing constraints in that, we haven't upgraded that before, but someday we did and will. Or maybe not even use GPT, maybe use another model. It's just cheaper and better.
Right. Yeah, and I got one. I had an outcome that failed my prompt, and with 4.0, then I took it to all the models. I mean, well, not all, but I took it to a lot. I was in Claude, I was in Grok, I was in all of these. They all gave me the same outcome, which was wrong. So I went back and changed the prompt, and that's when I screwed it up in the GHL.
Gotcha.
I hard coded the prompt in there. When I pasted it in, I hard coded my test prompt, not test prompt, but test script.
Oh, okay.
So it's all positive. Yeah. But they all of the LLMs, all of them gave the exact same response. And then I would ask them to give me an in-depth reason why it shows that response. And it just
also when you give those prompts more time, when you tell them like, hey, think through this, talk out loud, they actually end up with better results. But it's only because they're given more tokens basically to think about it. So if you ask it like hey, describe why this outcome and work through it, you actually get much better responses from anything you do in general. Like when I have Claude write a lot of code for me, and I'll tell it, okay, write this and then work through an example and verify your work is correct. And it'll sit there, but okay, great. Now an example of me emulating this because it can't actually run code, but it'll like emulate it and be like, oh wait, I just noticed this issue. Okay, let me fix this, and then it'll give me a new variant of whatever. So.
Yeah, it's been a little. It's too verbose. I mean, I'm trying to. When I do that, I've done that, but it mentions the keywords that I'm looking for over and over in the analysis thing.
Okay.
Maybe I'll mess. I see what you're saying though. That's good. That's good info. Good data. So I'll give that a shot. It ends up popping out the keyword, and I'm just looking at the response for the keyword. I say only mention this keyword if this.
Yeah.
So I'll have to think of a creative way to do that. Either that or there's 2 calls.
I mean, the easiest way to do that is to do be like at the end output JSON or something. Give it like something provable to output so that you can just regex search like in JavaScript or TypeScript or whatever. Python, you could search the results from GPT and be like, and it doesn't have to be code. It could be like in Zapier or Go level. Check if this body contains this exact series of characters, and it would be like keyword and the keyword. That's what make it do.
Okay. I like it. I mean, that may be able to. I get a more verbose prompt in 3.5, and maybe that would be.
There you
go. So. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good things. So thanks.
Yeah. No problem. Alrighty.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, Patrick, go for it.
Hey guys. So the first few questions will just be easy ones to knock out. Everflow, you said I could reach out to Jared in Slack, and that's who I could get my Everflow link, like just send over my Everflow link again.
Yeah. Did you already go through the Air U tutorial for it originally?
So my boss had purchased I guess the resale license a while back, and then finally got a team together. We've been working on it. So we went through Air U, right? And we did all of that, but I don't know anything about Everflow. And when I asked him, he was like, "Oh man, I can't remember. It's been so long." So,
okay. Yeah, they can get you if you did already create an account or if someone created an account, Jared, get with your information. Then they'll just tell you, hey, go through the course because that course has you set up your account. But if it already exists or clarifying information you need, Jared's definitely the guy.
Okay, cool, awesome. So that's the first one. the second, or I guess one of many, what these calls is that come in with 5 questions, and by the time it gets to me, I have 10. So, I'm glad to hear that other people were having issue. I was testing my agent, and it was working well all Tuesday, all Wednesday, all Thursday, and then when I was checking it on Friday, I started saying and then actually switched it from the Australian woman to I think the standard American, the first one. Halfway through the script, it went ah! Like it got snatched and then just went quiet. It's it sounded like someone got kidnapped, and I was like, hello, hello, hello.
That's
so I just don't
interesting.
know.
Was that the one time thing, or had that happened multiple times?
It had started. I did the call reporting on the ones where they were just ending early. That one was just weird because it was like and then
it could be random like glitches with the auto generation sometimes. I've even heard every now and then the agent, if you don't speak quick enough, it'll start talking. I don't know if you ever played the game The Sims back in the day. It'll start one of the characters will be like,
okay,
speaking some random language.
I was just about to ask. So that same day started sounding like it had a seizure.
Oh man.
I'm from Louisiana, and so a lot of words are spelled very differently than they sound. Does AIR support like phonetic spelling? Like if I were to rip the spelling of a word and put it in there, special characters, do you know if it would do that?
Yeah, it would. Like when I write AI, it says AI. It says like A, or it almost says just says the A. So what I do is I'll type AYY space EYE. Like I'll just phonetic. Like that's actually a really good trick just to get around a lot of weird pronunciations. It's spell it out phonetically as long as you don't care how the agent said it in transcripts, because the transcripts is going to show whatever you wrote. If you just care about how the human hears it, then just write phonetically, and that works almost every time.
Cool deal. Awesome. So that we did that because we unblocked my number on Wednesday, and then I made a bunch of calls Thursday afternoon, and then I went back to DNC on a call that shouldn't. But I was making.
Was it an AI? Was it an API or role play?
Automation.
Oh, okay. The only way, then the only outcomes that the agent can pick are do not call list, follow up, which is supposed to be kind of the fallback, or book deployment. So if it didn't seem like follow up at all for some reason, and it wasn't a book deployment, then it could have accidentally, or not accidentally, could have just picked do not call list if there was any negativity at all. If it seemed like usually it won't pick that. If you're good at like knowing do not call lists is an extreme.
Yeah.
But
So go ahead.
I was saying it can fall back to that sometimes. And the easiest way to get around that is to do role plays instead of API calls. Are you doing API calls because you're trying to test with metadata?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So the part where it cut off, or because I had the same thing, and you actually had to go in the back end and remove my number. So I went into my agent and just added outcomes. I added a few more branches where one says this one ends the call because they're not interested in hearing more about lessons. This one is a live transfer because they want to go ahead and speak to an agent. This one's the booking link, and then this outcome is actually to trigger a callback and add them to a Go High Level automation. So I tried to fill out every single one of our bottom cards with an outcome, trying to prevent that, and then that's what happens. I was just wondering if maybe because I had sent 10 API requests in like 5 minutes.
No, it would only be what happened to that one call that it was DNC. Like DNC is only a result of the agent determining, or it's the process that runs after the call, determining, hey, on this call it sounded like they were wanting to be DNC'd. It won't have anything to do with the frequency. If you do call yourself too many times, though, sometimes, and this is out of our control, sometimes your carrier can start being like, hey, what the hell? They're getting spammed. This person's calling them 100 times. We should filter this number out. And sometimes if you ever see you're calling yourself and you're getting a 200, but it's not coming through, you can check your call portfolio. And if you see the call record there, then that would just mean your carrier filtered the number out for whatever reason, maybe because you had do not disturb on or something.
Okay. So if it's that one, I can remove it in Twilio. But if it's DNC inside of Air, I need to hit y'all up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like everyone on the tech support team has access to that now. It's not just me, so they can usually get to it pretty quickly.
Okay, so I can't just. I was about to ask. I pinged you, and I understand you're busy, so I just wanted to make sure I could reach out to someone.
Yeah, definitely. You can also the guy who handles the main guy who handles support at Air.ai, he is big. But you can also try emailing over support and ask to be removed there. But the Slack channel is usually going to be the quickest to do that.
Okay. My next one, the square brackets in Air 2.0, it says use for instructions. Can we use those as a pseudo advanced prompt? And would it be placed before a sentence? So add some like spunk and personality, and then I guess really just kind of have it as a prompt, just to try and get a little bit more customization like we had in version 1.
So you can try to, or you can definitely put prompting in there. The agent is getting that only when it gets to that node. That's the only time it sees the instructions from that.
Yeah.
But if you want to try to give it some like behavior overrides when it's on that line, you can, and then when it's at that line, it will have that given to it. And once it's past that node, it won't see it again.
Okay.
So
you
can do you can give it instructions to follow along when it's at that point in the script, essentially.
If I were to say pass off a prompt, could I pass it in through metadata and then just have metadata dot specificity on this kind of
On every node.
Yeah,
you totally can do that. There's one other way you can do it too, and that is if you don't use the knowledge base, then you could we will load in, if you have a knowledge base connected, and we will load in the 3 most relevant words to what the person just said at all times, and we kind of like hot swap them as they speak. But if you only have 3 or less cards on that knowledge base, those will always be loaded because they're always going to be the most 3 relevant because there's no other ones. And you can put like some people have found little like hacky ways to write advanced prompting in a knowledge base card, and then they've realized that's loaded in at all times if they have 3. So that's one way you can technically modify the base prompt. The only other way is it's just what you just meant. So
yeah, I like that because I'm really not using the database. It is mostly metadata.
Gotcha.
I hopped in the call a little late and I heard I think Gabe talking about the double slash for making it so you can have custom or metadata and structured the brackets. Could you go over that? I just wanted to make sure because there are nodes where I want to have both.
Yeah, so Gabe's example was he wanted to have some prompting where it's like if their phone number or if the phone number if the phone number the human just said is exactly, and then like metadata.phone number, or if the address the prospect the human just said is exactly metadata.address. He was trying to he had a case where he initiates a call with some information, and then the person has to verify that they actually have that information on the call. If they don't have it, he wants the agent to be like, "Oh, sorry, I can't help you." But if they do say it correctly, if they do say, "Well, the metadata has in it," then they say like, "Okay, great. I'll do this, this, and this, whatever, on to whatever point." And
that's what I'm trying to do as well.
Okay,
almost like 2-factor. As a way of someone being able to call our agent, and if the agent determines like, hey, I want account information, we've loaded in account information, but they can't, the agent can't read it unless they have their account number.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So the only issue he found was that we made a change to the editor recently where when you write square brackets, we like blob after you close it just to make it clear as prompting. It's clearly like now broken with curly braces. So what he did instead is instead of writing square brackets, he just put a bunch of like forward slashes around it. He was just trying to write anything that the agent would interpret as instructions and not as like prompting, or not as sentences to read.
Yeah.
So you could just do that. You could just write forward slashes all around it.
At that point, you could probably establish a prompt that it does feel like saying, hey, or knowledge base saying, hey, when you see this, do this. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Although usually anything that's like all capital letters and like a bunch of special characters around it, the agent usually is smart enough to realize like, oh, this isn't a conversation like sentence. This is some sort of like context to try. Let me read this. And,
okay, cool. Is there a way for us to see some of the structure used to train the agent? Like you said, we fed it this. It knows that certain characters around this mean this. And you'll have like a document that says, hey, these are some of the quirks that are built in.
Yeah, that would be like, I don't know if the founder's giving that out anywhere. You could ask in Slack if they would be okay with giving that out. I don't know if they would. That's their IP, so
yeah.
They might be willing to share some of that stuff that we've shared other stuff. Like we've shared like the notes template before and stuff like that. So they might be open to that. Actually, I have no idea if they're asked that.
And it's not for any resell or maliciousness. I'm just genuinely interested.
Yeah, just wanted to work better around the system. That makes sense.
Yeah. Final, or I guess the last little bit, get call data. So I saw post call outcome and post call data. I went to your API doc and I saw the two like formatting, right, thing you have where it says these are the different things that are posted. In the air agent, I saw where you can edit the outcome. That's what is getting posted to whatever, I guess, header, right? You have on your API document titled outcome.
The outcome comes over on post call outcome, and it'll come over in, I think it's called the call object. There's a call and header, and call I think is just data from the call versus header is. I actually don't know what comes over on header. It's probably some random information about the post request. It's not actually a header. It's part of the body, so I don't even know what about that. It's not a real header.
Yeah, a real header. I just meant more of like whenever I'm looking through, it has those. I guess what can get called do?
Data has been technically broken for like 6 or 7. The fix is like fairly simple, but it has to be tested. I've never been able to put it on there. What it does is when the call starts, if you have a get call data webhook set up, we will send a post request over the URL you specified. And if you respond to that post request, if you give a response spec with a body, any body parameters you pass over in that response, it has to be a response to that request, not like anything you pass over in the body of that response gets loaded into the metadata. So at the time of the call, essentially, so people were going to be able to see what we did. Webhook sitting there, and whenever it received a post request, we would find the contact in CRM. And so that was the purpose of that feature. The problem with that webhook at the moment is it doesn't send you over in the initial request. It no longer which prospect is sending that for. So that's what's broken about it at the moment. It does still work. It will still send you post requests, but there's no way for you to it. So once we fix that,
Just that one field.
It's just it's not enough that I feel like there's not like a prospect phone or a name. That just has to get added in. I fixed it a while ago, and I fixed it, never got tested, never went live. So
because I am trying to agent where they can, when they book a call, whatever, the booking agent can do something like, hey, I'm going to send you over a confirmation text. Let me know you got to send the appointment information while on the call.
Well, you can do that already. Just actions. Get lead data only fired right at the very beginning of the call. That was it.
Okay.
Another feature we're going to come out with that we kind of have already built internally, but it has no UI, so it's not something I shouldn't even mention. But just so you guys know, there's something cool coming in the future. There's going to be a way in the future for you to specify like a URL, and you then send a URL with a call SID and it'll update a running call with extra metadata. So you'll be able to like feed in new information mid call. It's just not it's going to ship right now. But in the meantime, you can still use custom actions. When the person does get to a certain point in the script, says and the agent says a certain thing, an action fires and sends a post request off over the action webhook URL is called save your webhook URL. It sends a post request to whatever server you have listed there, and then you process that and do whatever you want. And it gives you like the action name and the prospect's information. So you can fire, like a SMS to them with a booking link if you wanted to.
Right. But I meant more of, so in Go High Level, when they book the call, I have a calendar and it'll say, hey, did any of these times work? And the node says this action will fire when the call's over. So we can't there can be a webhook that fires mid call that can pull back data, like if I had a metadata field or the actual appointment time, appointment, whatever, because it's now scheduled.
Nothing yet, because nothing yet can do that. In the future, you'll be able to.
Yeah. Okay,
but nothing quite yet.
So it is just posting. It's not actually pulling anything back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then last question. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, the in Go High Level, when we are loading metadata, I noticed that there is query and headers. Headers and queries. Headers being stuff you're passing for authentication. Queries being stuff you're asking the API. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I've never really dealt with that. This is all stuff I'm learning on the fly. Do you know anything or any benefit to using headers or
a value that got passed over in the URL? So a query like string on a post request or request usually don't use queries on post requests. You can sometimes, but usually it's GET requests. A query would look like webhook URL ? Applicant _ID equals 1 2 3 4 5 and sign, applicant age equals 30 and sign, whatever. That's what a query URL usually looks like. And then the body is like I don't know if the body is technically part of a header. I don't know if there's a body on a request, you have access to that. Headers are like pieces of data that you can send over random stuff in that. I would usually not use that. Like the only time I ever add additional headers is if I'm trying to add like a key, like some authentication token to my request. I won't just like add random fields to that. I will use the query or the body of a request to add that sort of stuff, because the header, everything gets converted to lowercase. And you just want to use best practices to use the query values or body values to pass information.
Right. I guess I just worded them wrong. Query is the one that's the one where it's like you can send data in. I didn't know if it was better to use the metadata structure that's like in a schema, I think y'all called it, or if I should put it in query.
Well, if you're sending a post request to us, it has to match the exact schema we use. Or like when you send a post request to us, we don't look at any query values you send over. So they get started basically.
Okay. So I guess that answered my question. I was just wondering if it would be worth me investing in learning and going deeper down the rabbit hole of like APIs and stuff.
Okay.
Just for optimization or like hidden features. Just trying to make a badass air agent.
Love that. Beyond, you can't change like just in general. If you ever get into APIs more, if you get into using APIs more, you're just given usually a schema, and you're like, hey, these are all the parameters we recognize. Like this endpoint's configured with. If you send extra parameters even beyond that, the endpoint will reject it. It'd be like, this is a 400 bad request. Most endpoints are kind of lazy like ours. And if you send extra random fields, we're not going to reject the request. We're not going to process those fields. They just disappear. Essentially, we don't care about them.
Yeah.
But just for your context.
That makes sense. That's kind of what I thought. Because like if they're not looking for it, it's probably just going to go poof. And I didn't know if it was all tied to just one thing. Again,
Yeah, AI doesn't process our incoming requests yet. Maybe one day that'd be pretty badass.
No, like I said, I don't know any of this. I don't have a computer science degree, so thank you for the help.
No, absolutely. That's a great. Most people who are programmers honestly don't have CS degrees at all. So it's an awesome way to learn. So.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Hope you have a great time.
You as well.
Brian, go for it. It's gonna be the last one I take, and I'm gonna go to my lunch break.
Glad I made the cut.
Yeah. No one
I
else
stayed on to try and start building out this 2.0 from Jeremy's thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not having fun doing this. I don't know. I hope I'm doing it right. We'll see what happens. It might be a little busier than you'd like. But so just a couple of questions.
Sure.
If I add the stipulation, if the human, and then it says ... do I need to say said, or I just put yes or no?
Usually I just put says there. There might be other branches where that doesn't make sense though. Like if you said, if the human got angry, but I would probably usually put if the human said something inflammatory or said something negative, whatever.
That's a good point. I didn't put any of that in there. I might have to.
Yeah, we just force you to have to, or not force you to write it. We just force the if the human part at the beginning because the transcripts say human : and a lot of people use because we had a lot of training videos that talked about prospect previously. A lot of people in those branches would write if the prospect said, but the transcripts of what the prospect is. So yeah, now we just force the if the human, but usually you're just gonna want to write says and then whatever.
And if I'm just looking for like a positive response or negative response, the AI can figure out something that's more of a yes versus something that's more of a no, and I don't have to say says no or this or this or this, right?
Yeah, 100%. You can put like if the human, and this is an example maybe where I wouldn't say, but if the human gave a affirmative or a positive response, if the human gave a negative response, because when it gets to the point where it has to pick which of those branches to go down, it's told, hey, here's the transcripts of the call right now. Here's the current node they're on, and then here's what has to happen here's like the two logic branches you should pick between. Which of these is most accurate based on what the person said and the context of what node they're on that asked them the question in the first place.
That's like the whole context that the AI is thinking about in that section.
Yeah, so those logic branches need to be like declarative. That's why it says, because sometimes first launch this feature we didn't, and it's like that's usually sometimes the agent gets it right, but you're kind of playing roulette at that point. It's a matter of like, is it going to understand that this time it runs or not?
Okay, that makes sense. And so your recommendation would be to just get it more like a positive versus a negative response rather than picking the specific words.
Yeah, because I would do that. I wouldn't say like if the human said yes, because then also what if the human said sure? What if the human said
I'm messing around with the idea. Obviously, we're just trying to do a basic scheduling type agent, but if someone doesn't want to set a specific time, I was thinking, can we get you a call back at maybe just a general time of day, morning, afternoon, evening? That is an option, I would assume. And if it is, then how do I relay that, into the system? We're using Go high level sub accounts and things like that. Maybe it's gonna be a loaded question, but how do you then just say, hey, this person wants a call back in the preferred mornings?
How I would do that is the workflow you have that processes the post call data. So like wherever you're processing transcripts, if you're not, you just need to set up like a Zapper, probably do Go high level, and you give it to a Chat GPT prompt. In those automations in Go high level, there's an action called Chat GPT, and you just have to connect your OpenAI, and then you can actually just use Chat GPT right in those actions. And I would write a prompt like conversation. I need you to determine if the human asked for a callback. If they did, or if they did not, I just want you to return the word false. If the human did request a callback, I need you to specify roughly when they did request a callback. And then and you say, here's the transcripts, and then you answer the transcript using their like variable drop and whatever. And then you just test it out a bit to see how that prompt returns. If you have a good prompt, and if it returns it's consistently enough what you expect, then you can now make a path and Go high level, or I think it's called if/else and Go high level, where all right, if the Chat GPT step dot reply or respond to the properties called on it, if that contains the word or exactly matches false, then stop, because you're going to know that they didn't request a callback, so you're not going to be processing anything. If it doesn't exactly match the word false, then you're going to probably send off an email to your team or a text to someone on your team saying, "Hi there, here's your automated agent, whatever. Just let you know if someone requested a call back. Here is where they or when they requested : space, and then you drop in the reply from GPT, and you could even put like a link to the call recording, or you could, if it's an email, you could be like, and I'm going to drop the transcripts in from the call below, something like that, with the prospect's phone number or their name, whatever."
Okay. If you happen to, in apps, if you happen to have some type of a video that goes over that aspect of the, I guess it wouldn't be on the GHL side, but
I'm trying to think if we have any tutorials where we do. There's definitely something. I want to say maybe the custom actions one, but I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit tonight I could film one. Maybe in like 2 hours I could film one of those. That'd actually be a really cool tutorial. Just like
super helpful.
I would probably show it in. I show it in Go High Level using Go High Level. Just how
yeah, people are. I mean, they're yeah. It's an interesting thing. I kind of knew that too, but so far I'm just digging the way they handle the attention they can give and get jammed up. They have some cool support things in place.
Okay, awesome.
It's really robust when I see it.
Yeah, I love Go
And
High Level.
our team uses HubSpot, and that's
Oh,
when you just look and compare, like how Go High Level's done a great job, I think. So yeah, if you could do it with that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, as long as I don't get pulled off anything 911, which I should not Friday night. Then I'll go ahead and I'm gonna have dinner now, and then I'll get back to it. And I'll probably
Okay, I got one more quick question for you though. I've got the knowledge base. Is there any way to export knowledge bases, or how am I going to get a knowledge base from one air account to another?
Yeah, good question. So on the support side, we have a feature where we can clone all of your agents and your knowledge bases from one account to the other. So you don't have access to that yet, but you can just tell us in the support channel, "Hey, can you please clone all the agents?" And you don't have to tell me to specify all the agents and knowledge bases. Just tell me the account you want to copy from and the account you want to copy to, and we will copy, and it will copy over all of the agents and knowledge bases, and you can just delete anything you didn't want.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought I misunderstood, because someone said that today. They said it had to be all of it. And I was like, well, shit, I don't want all of it there, but we would just do it and delete what we didn't want in that new account there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I can just send that message to Slack right after this then for this particular.
Yeah, whenever you make those requests, we just need the email or a email that is on the parent account, and then an email that's on the child account. Call this.
That's what I was going to ask you today in Slack. How you want me to refer those? Parent account, child account's a good way to kind of mention
Parent, child, master, slave, recipient, or I don't know what the alphabet is, but yeah, whatever you want to call it. I'll know what you mean.
Yeah, I'll put that in there then. And yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all your time today.
Yeah, no problem.
And everybody else who's on here who's already gone though, but all their questions help so much too.
I'd love to hear that. That's what these calls are for. So perfect.
Thanks a lot.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you guys in Slack in a bit. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for being here. So we'll be back on Friday. We'll be back on Monday on the 11 a.m. call. My day's going quite a bit longer today, so I'll still be responding to Slack. So